All right, Georgia loses 23-10. Season's over with. Lose to Notre Dame. One of us was really wrong on this. I think my prediction was more of hope, and I don't know what else. One other word would be describe it, but hope would be one of them. Georgia, I guess go ahead and give us your thoughts on it, and then I'll give you mine.
Um, yes, that game was emblematic of sort of the issues that we've had all year long with this Georgia team. Frankly, it's not totally surprising to me. It's not shocking. Disappointed in the execution, disappointed in the offensive game plan, to be quite honest with you. Not a surprise when you turn the ball over twice and special teams, you give up a touchdown on special teams, even though I think Notre Dame, had 90 passing yards or something crazy like that. Quite honestly, the defense for the most part did their job, but just emblematic of sort of the overall problems that I see with this Georgia team, and not terribly shocked, certainly disappointed, but not shocked at the outcome of the game in the Sugar Bowl. So that's sort of my big picture takeaway.
Yeah, I guess like you said, I could have seen this coming. And I know Kirby said, the reason why we lost this game is 2 turnovers and a special teams touchdown, and that is why Georgia lost. But it's the same issues that have plagued us all year. We both have been saying it probably since, I don't know, Kentucky probably was whenever Kentucky was the first time I knew this team was an extremely flawed team. It was an orange flag, not a red flag, but it soon turned out to be a red flag. So I didn't have an expectation of this team to win a national championship. I did, early on, of course, and that should always be the expectation at Georgia. But with the flaws that this team had, I thought maybe if we could muck it up, beat Notre Dame, beat Penn State, we play in Atlanta, and I would consider that a success, and see what happens there. But clearly, the best team in the country right now is Ohio State. So congratulations to them. I think, I don't think anyone's going to touch them. So
I think right now you're right. They've shown that in the 2 playoff games are the best team, but they got to get through it. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that they won it all, but they certainly look to be the favorite at this point.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to talk about it. I don't, with a month to prepare with Gunnar Stockton, without Beck, we all knew that he was definitely going to miss at least the Notre Dame game. Didn't know at the time if he was going to play the next round or not. Didn't really matter. But the offensive game plan was so horrendously bad, it was laughable. And I know, look, the offensive line needed to play better. The run game wasn't there. But to put your quarterback in the situations that he was in, you were never going to win that game.
Well, what was the final for ETN? What did he have? 11 carries, 38 yards or something crazy like that. And again, to go back to what I was saying, Georgia, before ETN fumbled, was moving the ball. We were running the ball. We were mixing it up. But you're right. They're, again, emblematic of the whole season. The offensive line was underachieving all year long. Yeah. Freeling might as well have been a statue out there. And I've been a big fan of his.
We both have.
This team could not consistently run block and couldn't pass pro. And that's the reason that we saw we became too heavily centered on the quarterback, meaning Beck, during the regular season. And then Beck during the Kentucky game that you mentioned earlier, that's the first time I saw it. he did not trust this offensive line, and with good reason. And that was with Ernest Green at left tackle, I believe. So
Right.
you can't pass block and you can't consistently run block. And then Anthony Evans on that play that ETN fumbled, he whiffed. He missed it.
Yeah.
So you have, in my opinion, you have underachieving offensive line, underachieving wide receiver group. And because of that, you couldn't run and you couldn't catch the ball. And you got Ernest Green that regressed on the offensive line. You got our entire receiving core. They can't catch. They inconsistently run block. So they regressed as a unit. So when you have two of the big units regressing on offense, you're talking about bad predictions. I came into the season, I said, this could be one of the most prolific and dominant offenses that Georgia's ever had. It was like giving over the keys to a Ferrari, and we can't even get out of first fucking gear. And so my opinion is, in the offseason, I'll leave it up to Kirby. I think we have to. You know, he's led us to 2 national championships, and I do believe he's, if not the best coach, one of the best coaches in college football. But if there's not a major overhaul and a self-evaluation on offense, I'm not exactly sure what we're doing going forward. Because to me, Stacey Searles, the offensive line coach, appreciate your work that you've done and the dedication that you've done for the University of Georgia. James Coley, appreciate you. But you got to either go into full-time recruiting and no on-field responsibilities, or you need to go to a different program. Mike Bobo, damn good dog. Appreciate the years of playing. Appreciate the years of helping out Monken. Appreciate the years under Coach Mark Richt. But at this point, we have got to move on. And if we don't, how can we? I mean, look, you had a guy that was preseason hyped up to be Heisman Trophy candidate. You had ETN that's supposed to be one of the greatest back. We had a offensive line where a number of people were returning.
4 out of the 5 starters were returning.
And we went backwards. So to me, that's where we start evaluating and figuring out what the hell we're going to do going forward. Because to me, to get beat by Notre Dame, which is a storied program and all that, but we were outweighing them on the offensive line. You could look and see the size differential. And for us not to be able to consistently move them and to run the ball and to have, what was ETN? Did you look it up? 11 carries for 38.
It was 11 for 38.
And then Cash Jones, by the way, he was hurt. He went into the locker room in the first half. Second half, he's the one that really missed the tackle and Kirby said, well, as an offensive player, well, if he's got a hurt shoulder, don't we have enough depth in our back? I mean, don't we plan to have somebody else out there? If he's vulnerable and he's not 100%, why do we have him on kickoff if his shoulder's hurt? There's a lot of things about this that I don't understand in this season. I get it. I give him a ton of credit for navigating the gauntlet of the toughest schedule probably in the country and winning the SEC. I'm proud.
With a team with all that flaws.
Huh?
With a team with a lot of flaws in it.
Yeah. So all those things, I'm not totally crapping on this team. I'm just disappointed. And as a fan, that with the resources and the recruiting and all those things that we have done over the years, to have this be a flop like this in the first round of the playoffs against a team that if Georgia and Notre Dame play 10 times, I believe Georgia wins that game 7 out of 10 times. Yeah. I do believe that. But it doesn't matter. We weren't good enough to win that night. Now, so there's a lot of soul searching that's going to have to be done. But it's not good. Next year, let's look at next year. What do we got? Tate Ratledge going off the offensive line. We got Smile Munden gone. The ETN, he's probably has he declared yet?
No, nobody's said anything.
We got running backs that can't seemingly stay healthy. Right. We got wide receivers that cannot catch the ball. Arian Smith, thank you for your years at Georgia and wish you well, but he couldn't catch. Dylan Bell, had some of the best hands that we've all seen. And then that ball was right in his hands. Do we have enough evidence to say that Gunnar Stockton is the quarterback for next year? I don't know that. Defensive line, Brinson's gone. Stackhouse is gone. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of these.
No, you're right.
So what does next year bring? And I got to be honest with you, I'm a little nervous, and I don't know if Georgia's program. I wouldn't say necessarily that we are as a program regressing. I still think Georgia is one of the best programs in college football, but man, do we have a lot of work to do. And I gotta, I'm speculating, of course, but with what happened, and very sorry for Kirby's family's loss. I mean, that's a terrible, tragic thing to have happen. But I've seen sometimes where I wonder if Kirby's passion for this is diminished a little bit. And I'm not questioning his passion for Georgia. I'm questioning his passion for the grind of what college football is now. So I'm nervous going into 2025. I'll be honest about.
Well, so I'll touch on next season in a minute, but like Notre Dame, I see it on social media where they say, "Oh, Notre Dame speed is just like SEC speed." To me, everything was missed tackles and missed assignments on why Notre Dame had success. Georgia was able to move the ball consistently in that game, and just was not able to execute once they got past the 50-yard line. Which, again, it's the same thing that has been the problem with Georgia this entire season. I'm glad this season's over with because I don't have to watch another frustrating game where they underachieve. I mean, you set a standard. We have a standard. We all know this team is talented enough. They have plenty of talent. And they constantly, every single game, it felt like, underachieved in one area or another, always. So in one aspect, I'm kind of happy that I don't have to watch another shit game put together with paper glue and staples and Band-Aids. I'm good. The next thing is, to me, if you want to go to 2025 and you want to look at that, I'm not overly concerned. You have Tate that's going to be gone. Truss is going to be gone. You're going to have 4 of your 5 starters. Well, 3 of your 5, I think, right? Truss, Ratledge, is Fairchild. I don't know if Fairchild's going to come back.
Still coming back.
Green's going to come back. Monroe Freeling's going to come back. But again, I think Nair Daniels is good. I think Bobo is good. I think he showed me enough to where he's a starter at least somewhere on the offensive line, whether that be guard or center. So offensively, on the offensive line front, I feel fine. ETN, I don't know if he's going to come back or not. But
take a pause on the offensive. Take a pause on the offensive line. You said you feel fine. Do you feel fine at offensive line with Stacey Searle still as offensive line coach?
Oh, well, that's where I'm going. So just bear with me. But no, short answer. A returning talent in the running back room with ETN. If ETN decides to leave, you got Frazier, who I think he's going to be. He could be a really special running back. Dwight Phillips Jr., Chauncey Bowens. There's some other guys that are coming in this recruiting class that look pretty good. Wide receiver, you got talent coming in. I know it's unproven, but you got talent coming in. Tight end as well. You're going to keep all your tight ends. Hold on. And then also transfer portal. I don't know what is going to happen with the Branch brothers. I have a sneaking suspicion that they are going to come to Georgia, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And there's some other guys still out there that Georgia can get. All that being said, they have a ton of talent on offense. But with this coaching staff that is in place right now, comes into 2025 season. It sounds weird saying 2025. But if that coaching staff comes in as the same next season, I have no confidence. None.
I would agree.
Things are going to have to change. And I understand – hey, look, Coley, I'm fine with giving him another year. I really am because he coached. I know these guys regressed, but were they really that great last year?
Well, it got papered over with, even though Ladd McConkey, but he elevated that whole group, and then the passing game and all those things was covered up and papered over the problems with the passing game because you have Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey. Let's face it.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. No. I mean, that's very evident now. So, okay. So, all of that. So, Coley, I don't care. He can stay or go. He recruited a decent recruiting class that can save you another year. But Searles, he's got to go. Every year that he has coached at Georgia, they have regressed. 2022 was his first year. It was good, but I went back and I watched, sadly, because I needed something to see something good that Georgia football did. I went back and I watched a couple of games of 2022. You had Amarius Mims, starter with the Cincinnati Bengals. Broderick Jones, starter, Pittsburgh Steelers. Cedric Van Pran, who I think is one of the best centers to ever come through Georgia, will be a starter one day in the NFL. You had Tate Ratledge, who I think has been consistent throughout his whole career. I think he's he's really good. You had McClendon in there as well. Then also, people forget, you had Truss at guard, which is more of his fit. You had all that, plus then, sadly, I hate to say it, but you had Devin Willock as well. So you had this whole group that was NFL level guys. Do they have it this year outside of Tate? Truss is
playing. Well, we thought Ernest Green was going to be a first-round draft pick until he got on. Searles worked with him for a while. I don't know whether he.
So what I'm saying, and then last year we said this offensive line is not as good as it once was last year, and we made excuses for it. And now it's gotten even worse. So in 3 years of testing, it has not gotten any better. So he's got to go. And recruiting wise, I mean, I know last year was a good recruiting class for the offensive line, but look, when things are, and you have turnstiles for tackles, why are we not playing some of these young guys that give us a shot? So there's that. Bobo, people can say, "Oh, Bobo this, Bobo that," and he it's not his fault. He can't catch and throw and run the ball and block. He can't do all these things. He's putting Georgia in a good position. Look, all you need to know about Mike Bobo and that offense is one thing. You're down 13 with a minute and change left to go. Now, I kept watching the game thinking Georgia still got a shot. Slim, but a shot. They could make some things happen. I've seen this team do it before. And the first play wasn't great, whatever. The second play of the drive threw a fucking screen. Through a screen.
It got ate up because it's predictable.
Well, it's predictable, but who the fuck runs a screen with a minute and change left? You got to go vertical on with a minute left in a game. So that's all I need to know. And I don't care how you defend it. I don't care what you say. No more. I am done.
Let me ask you a question. Objectively speaking, I don't think defenses that Georgia's played in the last 5 years have gotten progressively that much better. But under Todd Monken, we had receivers sometimes, a lot of the time, wide ass open where you and I could have thrown the ball and they could have caught it. You know what I mean? Yeah. This year and last year, think about all we have very rarely seen where our receivers in other words, either our receivers can't create separation, which could be a part of it, or number two, the designs of the plays are not fooling anybody, which I think is a combination of the two. The latter part of it would be on coaching. And quite honestly, you and I both know we can sit here and watch a game and pretty much call what Georgia's going to, what they're going to run.
Yeah.
And again, I get it. It's up to the players to execute it. Every offensive play is designed to score a touchdown. That's what they all say, right? If you execute the play. But if the defense can pretty much know what the hell is coming, it puts your offensive team, even if they execute, it's really difficult. So I just think it's a very predictable offense. We don't create a lot of separation. Our play designs, I'm not smart enough but I can tell you what I watch on TV.
Question. Is that talent? Because here's the thing. I went back and I looked at 22. Think about the wide receivers. You had A.D. Mitchell. You had Rosemary Jackson. You had Ladd. Then you had Dylan Bell. You had Brock. You had a litany of guys. there's not a guy that I would say this is the guy to go to at this situation. There's not one this year. There hasn't been.
No,
Love it supposed to be that guy. Bust.
I don't think he was a bust.
Not a bust, but what I'm saying is bust, and like he's not your go-to guy. Dylan Bell regressed. Can't get open in space. That's been his main problem his entire career. You don't have Colby Young. Ra Thomas gone. So all this stuff that we were led to believe with this offense doesn't happen because I don't think they had the talent at wide receiver. And then also you do have talent youth-wise and experience-wise with Nitro Tuggle, Scovey White. And
very little playing time.
Doesn't get any playing time. And then you throw him out there one time to run a fade in the end zone where he should have been. And probably a high leverage situation, but Notre Dame goes, oh my God, this guy's out here. He doesn't get a whole lot of playing time. Probably the ball's going to go to him. It's not creative at all, and it's terrible coaching. And by the way, like how many times has Kirby been out coached this year? Like you can sit down and think about it.
I thought we were out coached against Georgia Tech.
We were out coached by Tech. Alabama.
And first half. For sure. And then I don't know. I think you could make an argument that Ole Miss outcoached us to a large
extent. Ole Miss, I would say Florida outcoached us. Billy Napier. Notre Dame outcoached us. So that's 5. Let's go down the list. How many more? Tennessee, no. UMass, no. Clemson, no. Kentucky, no, because of that stupid punt. So 5 times. When is the last time a Kirby Smart team has gotten out coached?
Well,
not often. So wait, my point is that's not Kirby Smart though. Because it's not all on Kirby Smart to get out coached like that and to make every single decision. That's on the coaching staff. And that's a reflection on the staff. And they're not doing their job and preparing. And I don't think this coaching staff right now, offensively for sure, not where it needs to be.
Well, the other thing I would say, too, to go kind of along that, where was I? I mean, if I'm going into a game with a backup quarterback and I've got, 300, I'm winning on the line of scrimmage in terms of weight, size. And I've spent, and Kirby said when he first came in, you got to get bigger on the offensive and defensive line, which he has accomplished. Well, if our offense over the years under Kirby has been run the ball, play action pass, where were our tight ends during that game? And then to go one step further, Kirby, and I get it, he can say and he knows more about football than I'll ever know. But before the half, when we're down 6-3, we wanted to be aggressive and show confidence in our quarterback. I can how many times have you ever seen Georgia drop back, especially when you got empirical data that your offensive line can't pass protect, and put your quarterback in that position, and the same fucking thing happened right before half. It was right before half. And that's how Carson Beck got hurt, and we dropped back to throw a fucking Hail Mary or a bomb. Why do that? I mean, Kirby can make all, and I get it, but he can say whatever he wants to. We should have that changed the entire momentum of that game, and then you couple that with a special teams breakdown.
That's whenever I knew we were going to lose with that series of events happening.
And Kirby always talks about the right before half, right?
In the middle 8.
Yeah, and that loses you ball games, and I just don't understand why we decided to do that. But you can't go back and fix it.
Kirby of old would never do that. All right. Yeah, it's just not going to happen. All right. Defensively, you're going to lose Jalen Walker. Michael's gone. Malachi, I'm not sure. I've heard things that he might stay. I don't know. I would love him to stay, but I don't know if he will or not. You're going to have Everett, who's a guy on the fence. Don't know if he's going to come back or if he's going to go. Defensive line, you got Brinson, Stackhouse are gone. So Smile London also is gone as well. But again, defense should be okay. I think they've actually gotten better on the defense recruiting wise with the talent that is going to replace the guys. Kirby likes to play seniors. I think Chris Cole and Justin Williams are going to be ball players. So CJ Allen, oh my God, Raylan Wilson. Linebacker wise, I think we're going to be fine. We're not going to have another Jalen Walker. I love Jalen Walker. He's probably the baddest man that Georgia's had in a long time. I like him a lot, but he's gone. Defensive line wise, I know there's a lot of talent that we recruited last recruiting cycle and this recruiting cycle. So hopefully that, some of that hits. I don't know. I mean, who's returning that? Jordan Hall's coming back, right?
Tyrone Egram Dawson, is he coming back?
I would assume that he would be coming. Yeah, because he's a sophomore this year, so he's a junior. Xavier McLeod, who played well. So defensively, I think this team should be where it's at. It could be even better. KJ Bolden, obviously, in the defensive backfield. I don't know. I guess you're going to go with Aguero. You lose Dan Jackson and maybe Starks. That's a huge loss. But I think we're going to be okay. Ellis Robinson's good. Daniel Harris, I thought he played okay in that game against Notre Dame.
The whole defensive back. I mean, the whole defense played okay in that game.
Well, the defense really, if you don't have the 2 turnovers and the special teams, Notre Dame only scored 9 fucking points.
Yeah.
So they did a fucking job, and Georgia would have won that game 10-9. It was ugly. The narrative would probably change, but they won the game. So
you and I talked, and I said Georgia has to ugly this game up. And if we would have done that and played sound, fundamental, complementary football, we would have won. Just make it ugly. But
well, here's the thing. A couple years ago, I would say, yeah, that's going to happen. Even all through the season, because I was in denial. I said, yeah, that Kirby Smart, that's his MO. That's what we're going to do. Now, because of the offense and how terrible it has been, no, that's not. We just didn't do simple things well.
And I'm going to tell you, it's going to be hard for Kirby to have, if Bobo wants to stay, and I don't know that if he does, I don't have any idea. But Bobo and Kirby are best buddies. And I think it's going to be hard for Kirby to make a switch on as offensive coordinator with Bobo. It would not surprise me to get the band back together again and we see the same staff. I don't think he's going to fire Bobo.
Oh, well, I don't think he's going to fire Bobo, but I do think there's going to be changes. I'm not going to come out here and say I have sources, but I have heard from multiple people who have sources inside the building, and then David Pollack said it as well in his podcast. There are going to be changes on this offensive staff. I think Bobo's going to go and become more of an analyst role. So I don't know who becomes offensive coordinator. My bet would be Buster Faulkner, but I don't know. And then I would not be surprised if Stacey Searles is let go by February sometime. So we'll see. I don't know, but right now, moving forward, and I know I after the game, I started to kind of worry about this. How much longer does Kirby stay as the head coach of Georgia?
I don't know. That's what I said. Passion for this stuff is. I'm wondering.
I don't even know if it's the passion, man. I think he just. I mean, think about what's all on his shoulders right now. He's got NIL. He's got transfer portal. The standard, and to his own credit, he made it. The standard is championship or bust. And now you have the standard with everything else on your shoulders and dealing with all the confusion and winning it in a 12-team playoff is going to be a lot harder than it was with 4 teams, obviously. and then the SEC schedule that's coming up. It's a lot, and it's a grind, and your kids are young, and then your dad just recently passed, and you got to build. This is the most critical time in building that team so you can win a national championship next year. And then you have this. I mean, I'm not saying you could have died at a better time. That's kind of dark, but shit happens. It's life, and you got to figure all this stuff out while in the background your dad passed away. That's a ton of stuff that's on your plate, and that I don't know how much longer you got. So time is very limited. I worry about Kirby and how much he wants to do it, and we'll see. I mean, I think I think because he's so competitive and wants to win, that I think we're going to be okay, at least for the next 5 years. But this is a very critical point in the off season is now. So we'll see what happens. I think Georgia's going to be a player in a lot of this transfer portal stuff, and the reshaping of this coaching staff is going to happen. There's no way forward.
Yeah, I don't. I think there's going to definitely should be changes on the offense. I think any objective analysis, when you look at the offense and underachievement, one would have to come away with that. I don't know what the alternatives are going to be and who he's going to look for. Buster Faulkner, I don't know what the relationship is there. He's probably, pretty happy at Tech, but I think he's a good offensive coordinator, as we saw, and when he put together that game plan against Georgia. So I like Faulkner. I don't know who we go with. I'm tired of seeing the mediocrity on offense and the lack of execution and lack of creativity. I'm willing to roll the dice right now.
Yeah, and I don't know how other fans feel. I mean, I'm at 100% approval rating with Kirby, even after this game. I don't think anyone would. But I got to tell you, look, this coaching staff is not going to be intact totally at the end of the season, because you're going to have, with success and being as good as Georgia has been, there's going to be guys and coaching staffs that want to go and get some of these guys to come in and try to get the secret recipe. So there's going to be guys that leave this coaching staff. But if there isn't major wholesale changes, and really it's two people, and that's Cyril's and Bobo, if there isn't a change at least in one of those departments, my approval rating is going to go down. And I'm going to start to get kind of where I'm not going to have a whole lot of confidence in leadership right now. I'm just being honest with you.
You and I talked about it, and it's not just, I want to watch a team that's fun to watch, but that has to be a part of it, because at the end of the day, for us, this is entertainment. Georgia was not a fun team to watch this year. It was terrible watching them play, and they were good, and glad they won and all that, but it was a hard watch. Georgia was a hard watch, and not that it really matters, but we all talk about Texas being the darlings, Ohio State, all these teams being the media, and Tennessee. It's because their offense is competent and exciting and big plays and stuff like that. We ain't had that outside of we didn't have it this year, and last year outside of really Brock Bowers, we didn't have it. If we had Brock Bowers a couple times last year, and Ladd McConkey, but Brock Bowers more than anybody, who knows where we would have been offensively.
Yeah, I don't know. So look, I think the goal with this Georgia, it should always be the national championship. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. If you think that Georgia shouldn't be a championship or bust program, don't watch college football and don't make it part of your identity. I don't know what to tell you. If you're there to wave the pom-pom and say, oh, Georgia's great and everything, I don't know what to tell you. Those people frustrate me. I don't understand you. But I wouldn't deem this season a complete failure. I think with the flaws that this team had, and major flaws that they had, they achieved something that is, doesn't happen often. They won an SEC championship, navigated a hard schedule. Kirby coached his ass off. I wouldn't say it's a success.
No.
I guess it would be in some ways success, but it wasn't a disappointment to say that. So I think this team is good. I think this program's fine where it is. And the goal should be moving forward to always be in the playoff, get in the dance, and then see what happens. And that as long as that is, Georgia's consistently in that conversation, I don't know how much we have to complain about other than shitty offensive coaching.
Well, the other thing that, looking at the playoffs and now having, some things that we can take away from it. Every team that got a bye, correct me if I'm wrong, lost.
Yeah.
Oregon lost, right?
Yeah, it's kind of an inflated number.
Well, regardless, my point is this. How you navigate the season and the 12-team playoff is going to be strategic as much as anything else. Now, if you're not healthy and you got guys banged up, the bye could be helpful. But to me, I could see why some teams would say, hey, you know what? We're going to play our way into this thing, and we don't want the week off, because I think you do lose a little bit of momentum, and, there's a rhythm to a season, right? And I think, going forward, I guess you're right. I mean, all we can hope for is to be one of the 12 that gets in and see what happens. But you said this season wasn't a disappointment. I disagree with that. I think this season was a disappointment. It was disappointing from an offensive standpoint. It was disappointing on how we ended this thing. I just think overall, if you look at it and I know I'm coming from a fan's perspective, but weren't we ranked? Correct me if I'm wrong. Weren't we ranked number 1 going into the season?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and we got bounced in the first game, so in the playoffs. So to me, that's a disappointing season.
I don't know. I don't know where to categorize the season, because you won an SEC championship and a really tough conference. And I know the Northern media writers and fans are going to say the SEC's dead. Don't get too excited about that, because it's going to come back with vengeance. So, which it has in the past. But I don't know where to categorize this season. I don't know if I would deem it a failure. I would
failure, disappointing.
That's what it is. Disappointing. Obviously, anytime you lose and not win the ultimate goal is disappointing. But I wouldn't say it's a failure, and I wouldn't say it's a success. It's somewhere, whatever that is somewhere in the middle. To me, mid. That's what we're gonna call it. A mid. It was a mid season.
All right, I'm gonna call it a disappointment.
Okay,
I'm gonna buy it.
I'm not gonna get that down. I can't. Anyway, we will keep you updated on what happens. We are kind of in no man's land, because I don't know. Like, Georgia hasn't signed anybody in the transfer portal. The transfer portal closed in December 28th. So I don't know. Like, did guys put their names in secretly and we don't know about it? I have no idea.
Well, there's a lot of internal roster management going on right now. What's your draft grade? Malachi Starks, and other people who are on the bubble. Who's looking to say, hey, I'm not going to get on the field, so I'm going to transfer. We don't know any of that stuff, and that's a lot of what goes on right now. So, but by the way, I think you and I would both agree. Our viewers who are thinking to come on here and hear our take on the remaining playoff games, probably not going to be what you get, because I'm not going to cover somebody else's program or the college playoffs.
No, and I don't really care. Outside of the Steelers, yeah, I know. But outside of them, my football season is basically over. So I won't be watching any of the college football games. I'll probably passively watch them, maybe keep tabs on it, but I'm not going to be locked in and make my day around it. So it is what it is. So we're kind of in no man's land. This is all new to everyone. So anytime there's breaking news, I think we're going to keep the schedule of at least recording one time a week. depending on 2 times a week. We'll see kind of how it goes the first couple of weeks here. So, and with news, because I don't know what Kirby's going to do with everything that's going on, like I said. So I would say you're going to watch this on Monday. So I would say maybe the end of next week, look for another video. Not sure if there's any news that comes out, we'll make a video, and it'll be a short one. But anyway, put alerts on so that way you know when the channel posts the video. We're going to kind of be bouncing around days to see, what's going on. But anyway, like, subscribe, comment, tell us what you think this season was. It'd be interesting to actually hear what people think. Don't be a pom-pom guy that whenever Georgia loses says,
still love my dogs. Of course we love the dogs. That's why we're doing these shows.
Yeah. Win or lose, always a dog. Well, what else are you supposed to be? A Clemson fan? I mean, what the fuck? You follow the team for 13 games. What are you doing? So I would like to hear actually what people say about that, because I haven't really seen Georgia fans say anything if it's a disappointment or a failure or a success. I don't know. I want to hear what people have to say about that. So comment that and then like, subscribe, follow us on all social media platforms, Twitter, X, Instagram, and TikTok at Terminus Sports _ATL. And then our presenting sponsors, Unishippers, give us a sell.
Unishippers works with small to medium-sized clients. Anybody that does anywhere between 10 shipments on a weekly basis all the way up to hundreds of shipments on a weekly basis, and anything from envelopes to pallets. So if you think your shipping costs, especially around the holidays, if you're looking at it in the first quarter, and you think your shipping costs have gotten out of the line, feel free to reach out to us and ask for Holland Martin, and we'll do a no obligation cost analysis and tell you transparently whether or not we can help you. So Unishippers Atlanta.
All right. Shout out to Unishippers. Shout out Notre Dame. They're our daddy for now. So we appreciate everyone that subscribed. We get some more subscribers this week, so appreciate it. Keep views coming. Recommend it to a friend if you want to. Say, hey, this is my weird podcast that I listen to. And we'll see y'all on the other side.
All right. See you.